Hello and welcome to another Beyond Shakespeare First Look exploring session. Wow, I did that in one breath. Okay. We are reading The Elder Brother. This is the last section of The Elder Brother by my brain just went.
Fletcher and Massinger.
Yes, thank you. This is why we have the rest of the room. They're here to sort of be themselves and be awesome. So the Elder Brother with basically we are kicking off from Act 4, Scene 3. But before we do, I will introduce our readers and who they are reading. Reading Eustace, Lilly, and Lois, we have
Alan in Suffolk.
Reading Charles and the Epilogue, we have
Lois in London.
Reading Sylvia and Miramont, we have
Lynn in the northwestern United States.
So far away. Well, not that far, but I mean, yeah. Because it's far considering, Mark is here. Reading Angelina, we have
Aliki in Athens.
Reading Cowsy and Andrew, we have
Mark in the Midwest United States, which is closer to Europe than the Northwestern United States.
It's still in the United States. So, yeah,
fine.
Okay.
Basically next door.
Let's not get into geography. Anyway, and I'm your host for today, Eric Karoulla, and I'll be reading Servant, Egremont, Brisac, and pretty much anything else that comes up, as well as stage directions and keeping this going. So without further ado, let me just find the script and please take it away. As soon as I find the script, apologies. Act 4, Scene 3. So.
Stage directions?
Yep, sorry, I'm just finding the. Enter Angelina Sylvia with a taper.
I'm worse than ere I was, for now I fear that I love, that I dote on. He follows me through every room I pass, and with a strong set eye he gazes on me, as if his spark of innocence were blown into a flame of lust. Virtue defend me. His uncle is absent, and 'tis night, and what these opportunities may teach him, what fear and endless care 'tis to be honest, to be a maid, what misery, what mischief, would I were rid of it, so it were fairly.
You need not fear that. Will you be a child still? He follows you, but still to look upon you. Or if he did desire to lie with you, 'tis but your own desire, you love for that end. I'll lay my life, if he were now abed with thee, he is so modest, he would fall asleep straight.
Dare you venture that?
Let him consent and have at ye. I fear him not. He knows not what a woman is, nor how to find the mystery men aim at. Are you afraid of your own shadow, madam?
Enter Charles.
He follows still, yet with a sober face. Would I might know the worst, and then I were satisfied.
You may both, and let him but go with ye.
Why do you fly me? What have I so ill about me or within me to deserve it?
I'm going to bed, sir.
And I am come to light ye. I am a maid, and 'tis a maiden's office.
You may have me to bed, sir, without a scruple, and yet I am chary too, who comes about me. Two innocents should not fear one another.
The gentleman says true. Pluck up your heart, madam.
The glorious sun, both rising and declining, we boldly look upon. Even then, sweet lady, when like a modest bride he draws night's curtains, even then he blushes that men should behold him.
Fear he will persuade me to mistake him.
'Tis easily done if you will give your mind to it.
Pray ye to your bed.
Why not to yours, sweet dear mistress? One heart and one bed.
True, sir, when 'tis lawful, but yet you know.
Oh, I would not know. Forget it. Those are but sickly loves that hang on ceremony, nursed up with doubts and fears. Ours, high and healthful, full of belief and fit to teach the priest. Love shall seal first, then hands confirm the bargain.
I shall be an heretic if this continue. What will you do, Abed? You make me blush, sir.
I'd see you sleep, for sure your sleeps are excellent. You that are waking such a noted wonder, must in your sleep prove an admiration. I would behold your dreams too, if it were possible. Those were rich shows.
Am becoming traitor.
Then, like blue Neptune courting of a hand, where all the perfumes and the precious things that wait upon great nature are laid up, I'd clip it in mine arms and chastely kiss it, dwell in your bosom like your dearest thoughts, and sigh and weep.
Too much woman in me.
And those true tears falling on your pure crystals should turn to armlets for great queens to adore.
I must be gone.
Do not, I will not hurt ye. This is to let you know, my worthiest lady, you've cleared my mind, and I can speak of love too. Fear not my manners, though I never knew before these few hours what a beauty was, and such a one that fires all hearts that feel it. Yet I have read of virtuous temperance, and studied it among my other secrets, and sooner would I force a separation betwixt the spirit and this case of flesh, than but conceive one rudeness against chastity.
Then we may walk.
And talk of anything fit for your ears and my language. Though I was bred up dull, I was ever civil. 'Tis true, I have found it hard to look on you and not desire. 'Twill prove a wise man's task. Yet those desires I have so mingled still and tempered with the quality of honor, that if you should yield, I should hate you for it. I am no courtier of a light condition, apt to take fire at every beauteous face, that only serves his will and wantonness, and lets the serious part run by as thin neglected sand. Whiteness of name, you must be mine. Why should I rob myself of that lawfully must make me happy? Why should I seek to cuckold my delights and widow all those sweets I aim at in you? We'll lose ourselves in Venus groves of myrtle, where every little bird shall be a Cupid and sing of love and youth. Each wind that blows and curls the velvet leaves shall breed delights. The wanton springs shall call us to their banks, and on the perfumed flowers we'll feast our senses. Yet we'll walk by, untainted of their pleasures, and as they were pure temples, we'll talk in them.
To bed, and pray then we may have a fair end of our fair loves. Would I were worthy of you, or of such parents that might give you thanks, but I am poor in all but in your love. Once more, good night.
A good night to ye, and may the dew of sleep fall gently on you, sweet one, and lock up those fair lights in pleasing slumbers. No dreams but chaste and clear attempt your fancy, and break betimes, sweet morn. I've lost my light else.
Let it be ever night when I lose you.
This scholar never went to a free school. He's so simple.
Enter the servant. Your brother with 2 gallants is at door, sir, and they're so violent they'll take no denial.
This is no time of night.
Let him in, mistress.
They stay no leave. Shall I raise the house on him?
Not a man, nor make no murmur of it, I charge ye.
Exit servant. And before Eustace, Egremont, and Cowsy enter, any thoughts? Because this scene, I don't know, is this the first scene, because I missed yesterday, the previous session, is this the first scene we've seen where they are truly almost alone, almost entirely alone?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe this is only the second scene with the 2 of them on stage together. The only other one being the almost wedding between her and the younger brother.
And Sylvia, of course. I mean, Sylvia's there, but she's she's like the little demon on the shoulder going, come on.
Right.
Yeah.
Time.
Lynn, any thoughts? Because I mean, you weren't here, but I mean, clearly you're
No,
enjoying this.
I wasn't. So it is a little hard to tell what's going on. I mean, maybe I guess the gist of it is that they desire each other, but their morals are strong enough that they are going to resist consummating their relationship until they can get things sorted and actually get married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I Sylvia's also right that he would have no clue what to do anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
It's something you can't find in a book, I guess.
Well, he has
maybe.
read, I mean, if he's read Ovid, he knows quite a bit. I mean, he certainly knows that eventually there's going to be what he thinks will be rapture, when they finally have sex, and that he doesn't want it to be spoiled by plunging in too soon. Also, they are in a funny situation. I mean, they've been sort of disowned by their parents. They've left Brisac's house and gone to Miramont's, but they're not married yet. She's technically, I think, still sort of vaguely engaged to Eustace. Parents are furious. I mean, that they don't really know. They can't. Sylvia's suggesting really they could just anticipate their marriage, but it's not quite as simple as that.
no, and Miramont just like has taken a powder. Like what's happened to?
Well,
I mean, he's in loco parentis. It's kind of his responsibility to make sure that things are on the.
It is rather odd that the reason he's gone is that he's gone with Andrew to keep an eye on Brisac, because Brisac is courting Lilly at the farmhouse, I think, that Andrew lives in. That's why Miramont's not there. It's actually rather clever plotting. Otherwise, you certainly would think he ought to be there chaperoning them.
Yeah. And Miramont isn't exactly, I mean, when we described the plot to you, we may have presented him as a wise and benevolent figure. He's benevolent, but he's not necessarily wise. He's pretty hot-headed and quite keen to do his brother wrong rather as much as to protect his.
Yes, he'd probably be saying, "Get to bed, sure, why not?"
Yes, he'd probably be agreeing with Sylvia.
Alan, you seem to
I must admit, I think Sylvia as a chaperone is somewhat a chocolate teapot. Because I think she'd probably be standing on the sidelines cheering them on.
We've seen that before though in other plays. So it's kind of whether it's for a maid or for someone who's actually married, just kind of going.
But I must admit, I got the feeling from the first session that Sylvia may well be a long-standing family servant, and if effectively, maybe even the nurse as a child when Angelina was a child.
Yeah, probably. I mean, we don't have enough information from this, but we can extrapolate, I guess.
We seem to have lost Lynn momentarily.
Yeah. Maybe she's fetching coffee or not.
We haven't seen Scooter either, have we?
No, we haven't.
Anyway.
Without further ado, enter Eustace, Egremont, and Cowsy.
Stand close to me. How do you, brother, with your curious story? Have you not read her yet sufficiently?
No, brother, no. I stay yet in the preface. The style's too hard for you.
I must entreat her. She's parcel of my goods.
She's all when you have her.
Eustace attempts to seize Angelina.
Hold off your hands unmannerly, rude sir. Nor I, nor what I have depend on you.
Do let her alone. She gives good counsel. Do not trouble yourself with ladies, they're too light. Let out your land and get a provident steward.
I cannot love ye, let that satisfy you. Such vanities as you are to be laughed at.
Nay, then you must go. I must claim mine own.
Away with her.
And Eustace, Egremont, and Cowsy draw swords. Eustace attempts to seize Angelina.
Let her alone.
She strikes off Eustace's hat.
Pray, let her alone. And take your coxcomb up. Let me talk civilly a while with you, brother. It may be on some terms I may part with her.
Oh, is your heart come down? What are your terms, sir? Put up, put up.
Egremont and Cowsy put up their swords.
This is the first and chiefest.
Snatches away his sword, presumably Eustace's sword, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Let's walk a turn. Now, stand off, fools, I advise ye. Stand as far off as you would hope for mercy. This is the first sword yet I ever handled, and a sword's a beauteous thing to look upon. And if it hold, I shall so hunt your insolence. 'Tis sharp, I'm sure, and if I put it home, 'tis 10 to 1 I shall new pink your satins. I find I've spirit enough to dispose of it, and will enough to make ye all examples. Let me toss it round. I have the full command on't. Fetch me a native fencer, I defy him. I feel the fire of 10 strong spirits in me. Do you watch me when my uncle is absent? This is my grief, I shall be fleshed on cowards. Teach me to fight? I willing am to learn. Are ye all gilded flies? Nothing but show in ye? Why stand ye gaping? Who now touches her? Who calls her his, or who dares name her to me? But name her as his own. Who dares look on her? That shall be mortal too. But think, 'tis dangerous. Art thou a fit man to inherit land, and hast no wit nor spirit to maintain it? Stand still, thou sign of man, and pray for thy friends. Pray heartily. Good prayers may restore ye.
But do not kill them, sir.
Oh, you speak too late, dear. 'Tis my first fight, and I must do bravely. I must not look with partial eyes on any. I cannot spare a button of these gentlemen. Did life lie in their heel, Achilles-like, I'd shoot my anger at those parts and kill him. Who waits within?
Enter servant. Sir.
View all these. View them well. Go round about them, and still view their faces. Round about yet. See how death waits upon them, for thou shalt never view him more.
Well, Lord, sir.
No, I cannot hold. You stand so fair before me. I must not hold. 'Twill darken all my glories. Go to my uncle. Bid him post to the king and get my pardon instantly. I have need on't.
So unnatural.
Oh, you shall die last, sir. I'll talk thee dead, thou art no man to fight with. Thee come. Methinks I've fought whole battles.
We have no quarrel to you that we know on, sir.
We'll quit the house and ask you mercy too. Good lady, let no murder be done here. We came but to parley.
Oh, how my sword thirsts after them. Stand away, sweet.
Pray, sir, take my submission. I disclaim forever.
Away, ye poor things, ye despicable creatures. Do you come post to fetch a lady from me, from a poor schoolboy that ye scorned of late, and grow lame in your hearts when you should execute? Pray, take her, I'm weary of her. What did you bring to carry her?
A coach and 4 horses.
But are they good?
As good as France can shoe, sir.
Are you willing to leave those and take your safeties? Speak quickly.
Yes, with all our hearts.
Oh, done then. Many have got 1 horse. I've got 4 by the bargain.
Enter Miramont in the form of Sarah Blake, who's currently our avatar.
Oh, now? Who's here?
Nay, now you're gone without bail.
What? Drawn, my friends? Fetch me my 2-hand sword. I will not leave a head on your shoulders, wretches.
In troth, sir, I came but to do my duty.
And we to renew
We
our
to renew
love.
our loves.
Bring me a blanket. What came they for?
To borrow me a while, sir. But one that never fought yet has so curried, so bastinaded them with manly carriage, they stand like things the Gorgon has turned to stone. They watched your being absent, and then thought they might do wonders here. And have they done so? For by my troth, I wonder at their coldness. The nipping north or frost never came near them. St. George upon a sign would grow no more sensible if the name of honor were forever to be lost. These were the most sufficient men to do it in all the world, and yet they are but young. What will they rise to? They're as full of fire as frozen glowworms rattle, and shine as goodly. Nobility and patience are matched rarely, and these three gentlemen they have right use on't. They'll stand still for an hour and be beaten. These are the anagrams of three great worthies.
They will infect my house with cowardice if they breathe longer in it. My roof covers no baffled messieurs. Walk and air yourselves. As I live, they stay not here, white-livered wretches, without one word to ask a reason why. Vanish. 'Tis the last warning, and with speed. For if I take you in hand, I shall dissect you, and read upon your phlegmatic, dull carcasses. My horse again there. I have other business, which you shall hear hereafter, and laugh at it. Good night, Charles. A fair goodness to your dear lady. 'Tis late. 'Tis late.
Pray, sir, be careful of us.
It is enough. My best care shall attend ye.
End of scene. Aliki's amused. And any thoughts?
I mean, we were saying before that Eustace's, is it Eustace? Why am I calling him Eustace? It is Eustace. Eustace's father thought, oh, well, you're a man of action, my courtier son, and that he wasn't. And here we go, obviously. Here's a complete nincompoop who's never picked up a sword before, waving it at them and think, oh, no, please don't hurt us.
Yeah. Maybe that's why. Or not. I don't know. Any other thoughts? Mark?
Yeah, I feel like there's a pretty broad spectrum of how much you play the like gravity of the situation of like these guys have just, all of a sudden they're like, we might die. Or how much you play the comedy of the situation of like Charles and yeah, how much it feels like Charles is being legitimate in like, I kind of want to kill y'all for being so terrible. Versus more the comedy of it and Charles just like digging into them knowing that they're clearly such cowards and like really playing up the cowardice of them and just like running away every time he like moves the sword toward them. So yeah, I think it'd be an interesting one to see on the stage, certainly. Play with different options.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also how does he get the sword off them without having, I mean, okay, there's a certain dexterity and experience required to sort of do disarming things, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's where it gets interesting to try to stage this. I mean, if Angelina actually knocks off Eustace's hat, maybe she's also involved in, whatever leads to this situation. And of course, at times, where is she anyway during this in relation to Charles or the others? I mean, is she clinging to him or are they nervous about her? I mean, you can see, you can have really fun staging this thing.
Alan?
I suspect a modern production might even give her quite a dynamic physical role within that scene. To sort of play up the strong woman thing. But yeah, I mean, effectively, you've got the three courtier lads who are basically no damn good in a rain shower, let alone a thunderstorm.
Yeah. Aliki, any thoughts? Were you waving or just okay? Sorry. Yeah, no, it's quite an enjoyable scene, and then Miramont turns up to save basically to stop them killing each other, and sort of I do like how Charles goes so far as to sort of extract 4 horses and a carriage from them.
Yes.
So there's a part of me going, this is going to go somewhere with that. I'm not sure where exactly, but we will see. Also, why does he ask for a blanket? Is that for Angelina?
I don't know. I wonder if he's planning to toss them in a blanket. I mean, that is something they do sometimes to humiliate someone. I can't think quite what else he could want with it.
Yeah. Then again, it is nighttime, so maybe it's like for Angelina to cover up Angelina. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. As Rob would say, let's get more data. However, I think Mark has just disappeared briefly. Act 4, Scene 4. Andrew is entering again. For some reason. Sorry about that. Enter Andrew. And plugging in.
Andrew's actor was eating a banana.
I too have a banana.
Are you come, old master? Very good. Your horse is well set up, but ere you part, I'll ride you and spur your reverend justiceship just such a question as I shall make the sides of your reputation bleed. Truly I will. Now must I play at Bo Peep? A banquet. Well, potatoes and erangos, and as I take it, cantharides. Excellent. Priapism follows, and I'll handle it. It shall old lecherous goat in authority. Now they begin to bill. Oh, he slavers her. Gramercy, Lilly, she spits his kisses out. Now he offers to fumble. She falls off, that's a good wench, and cries, fair play above board. Who are they in the corner? As I live, a covey of fiddlers. I shall have some music yet at my making free of the company of horners. There's the comfort, and a song too. He beckons for one. Sure, 'tis no anthem, nor no borrowed rhymes out of the school of virtue. I will listen.
A song within.
This was never penned at Geneva. The notes too sprightly. So the music's paid for. Oh, now what follows? Oh, that Monsieur Miramont would keep his word. Here were a feast to make him fat and laughter. At the most, 'tis not 6 minutes riding from his horse. Nor will he break, I hope.
Enter Miramont.
Are you come, sir? The prey is in the nets and will break in upon occasion.
Thou shalt rule me, Andrew. Oh, the infinite fright that will assail this gentleman. The courtons, tertians, and cotillions that will hang like sergeants on his worship's shoulders. The humiliation of the flesh of this man, this grave, austere man, will be wondered at. How will those solemn looks appear to me, and that severe face that speak chains and shackles? Now I take him in the nick. Ere I done with him, he had better have stood between 2 panes of wainscot and made his recantation in the market than hear me conjure him.
He must pass this way to the only bed I have. He comes. Stand close.
Andrew and Miramont retire, presumably to the side, not actually leaving the stage. Enter Brisac and Lilly. Well done, well done. Give me my nightcap. So quick, undress me. I will dress and trance thee. Come, wench, kiss between each point, kiss close to the sweet parenthesis.
You're merry, sir.
Merry I will be anon, and thou shalt feel it, thou shalt, my Lily.
Shall I air your bed, sir?
No, I'll use no warming pan, but thine, girl. That's all, come kiss me again.
Are you done yet?
No, but I will do and do wonders, Lily. Shew me the way.
You can have message, sir. You shall have caudle in the morning for your worship's breakfast.
How in the morning, Lily? Art such a witty thing to draw me on. Leave fooling, Lily. I am hungry now, and that's another kickshaw. I must taste it.
We'll make you surf it. I'm tender of you. You have all you like to have.
And can this be earnest?
It seems so, and she honest.
Have I not like promised, Lily?
Yeah, and I've promised. Enough to a man of your years, this is truth. And you shall find, sir, you have kissed and toused me, handled my leg and foot. What would you more, sir? As for the rest, it requires youth and strength, and the labouring and old man would breed agues, sciaticas, and cramps. You shall not curse me for taking from you what you cannot spare, sir. Be good unto yourself. You've ta'en already all you can take with ease. You are past threshing. It's work too boisterous for you. Do such drudgery to Andrew.
How she jeers him.
Let Andrew alone with his own tillage. He's tough and can manure it.
You're a queen, a scoffing, jeering queen.
Maybe so, but I'm sure I'll ne'er be yours.
Do not provoke me. If thou dost, I'll have my farm again and turn thee out a begging.
Though you have the will and want of honesty to deny your deed, sir? Because I hope Andrew has got so much learning from my young master as to keep his own. At the worst, I'll tell a short tale to the judges for what grave ends you signed your lease, and on what terms you'd revoke it.
Or thou darest not yield, or I'll have thee whipped. How my blood boils as if it were a furnace.
I shall cool it.
Yet, gentle Lily, pity and forgive me. I'll be a friend to you, such a loving, bountiful friend.
To avoid suits in law, I will grant a little. But should fierce Andrew know it, what will become of me?
Whore, a whore!
Nothing but well, wench. I will put such a strong bit in his mouth as thou shalt ride him how thou wilt, my Lily. Nay, he shall hold the door as I will work him, and thank thee for the office.
Take heed, Andrew. These are shrewd temptations.
Pray you know your cue, and second me, sir.
Andrew comes forward.
By your worship's favor!
Andrew!
I come in time to take possession of the office you assign me. Hold the door. Alas, 'tis nothing for a simple man to stay without when a deep understanding holds conference within, say, with his wife. A trifle, sir, I know I hold my farm in cuckold's tenure. You are lord of the soil, sir. Lilly is a weft, a stray. She's yours to use, sir. I claim no interest in her.
Art thou serious? Speak honest, Andrew, since thou hast overheard us, and wink at small faults, man. I'm but a piddler, a little will serve my turn. I'll find enough when I've my belly full. Wilt thou be private and silent?
By all means. I'll only have a ballad made of it, sung to some lewd tune, and the name of it shall be The Justice Trap. It will sell rarely with your worship's name and Lily's on the top.
Seek not the ruin of my reputation, Andrew.
'Tis for your credit, Monsieur Brisac, printed in capital letters, then pasted upon all the posts in Paris.
No mercy, Andrew?
It will proclaim you from the city to the court and prove sport royal.
Thou shalt keep thy farm.
He does afflict him rarely.
You trouble me. Then his intent arriving, the vizard of his hypocrisy pulled off to the judge criminal.
I am undone.
He is put out of commission with disgrace and held incapable of bearing office ever hereafter. This is my revenge, and this I'll put into practice.
Do but hear me.
To bring me back from my grammar to my hornbook, it is unpardonable.
Do not play the tyrant except of composition.
What composition?
I'll confirm thy farm and add unto it 100 acres more adjoining to it.
This mollifies, but you are fickle and will again deny this, there being no witness by.
Call any witness, I'll presently assure you.
Say you so? Troth, there's a friend of mine, sir, within hearing, that is familiar with all that's passed. His testimony will be authentical.
Will he be secret?
You may tie his tongue up, as you would do your purse strings.
Miramont comes forward. Miramont?
This is my witness. Lord, how you are troubled. Sure you have an ague, you shake so with choler. He's your loving brother, sir, and will tell nobody, but all he meets, that you have eat a snake and are grown young, gamesome, and rampant.
What thus?
If he were one that would make jests of you or plague you with making your religious gravity ridiculous to your neighbors, then you had some cause to be perplexed.
I shall become discourse for clowns and tapsters.
Quick, Lily, quick. He's now past kissing between point and point. He swoons. Fetch him some cordial. Now put in, sir.
Who may this be? Sure, this is some mistake. Let me see his face. Wears he not a false beard? It cannot be Brisac, that worthy gentleman, the pillar and patron of his country. He is too prudent and too cautelous. Experience hath taught him to avoid these fooleries. He is the punisher, not the do unfit for woman. This is some counterfeit. He shall be whipped for it. Some base abuser of my worthy brother.
Open the doors. Will ye imprison me? Are ye my judges?
The man raves. This is not judicious, Brisac.
I'll suffer
What?
brave. Sorry.
Has a kind of a dog look, like my brother. A guilty hanging face.
I'll suffer bravely. Do your worst. Do.
Why? It's manly in you.
Nor will I rail nor curse, you slave, you whore. I will not meddle with you. But all the torments that e'er fell on men, that fed on mischief, fall heavily on you all. Exit Brisac.
Give
We
him
will
an
ride
each,
you the
sir.
better, Lil.
We'll teach him to meddle with scholars.
He shall make good his promise to increase thy farm, Andrew, or I'll jeer him to death. Fear nothing, Lilly. I am thy champion. This just goes to Charles, and then I'll hunt him out. And Monsieur Eustace, the gallant courtier, and laugh heartily to see him mourn together.
'Twill be rare, sir.
And they exit. That scene was very quick. It took me a few minutes to realize. I mean, obviously Andrew's watching them, but then he's narrating what's going on. But then it took me a few seconds to realize while reading that Lilly is really not into the situation. Aliki.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun scene, and I don't think we've come across anything quite like it elsewhere. I mean, it's so modern. It feels really modern in terms of its style.
Yeah. Aliki, then Lois.
So you can sort of now imagine the prehistory of this, that he's been groping Lilly and promised her a husband and a farm. And she said something like, well, yes, Andrew's fine, and I'd quite like to be married. And a farm, you say, a cottage, sure, without ever saying yes. And now found herself stuck in this position. It'd be really, really fun to stage, because we have relatively little dialogue, as you say. It happens very quickly in that sense, but there can be a lot more action going on. It'll be a lot of fun to kind of watch her attempt to avoid him without offending him, given the power that she has over her, and then get more and more offensive, and really nice.
Yeah.
Lois.
Yeah, I think at the beginning, Andrew is actually looking off stage, isn't he? And that's where the music is, and I think that's where most of the really sexual action is going on, which is just as well, since it's a scene between a man and a boy, and they might have had difficulty making this, credible. And then when they come on stage, it's a slightly less heated, less exciting version of his attempted seduction. But yeah, it's pretty steamy stuff, and it is unusual. I mean, that sort of voyeuristic bit at the beginning where he's basically waiting for Miramont to get there, I think, but somehow we've got a kind of reversal where he's sort of bursting in on them, but they're in fact coming out onto the front of the stage.
Yeah, and it's almost like a mirroring of the previous scene where, well, not quite mirroring, but sort of the three chaps trying to kidnap Angelina, and then just end up having to run home, and with nothing, with empty-handed. And Brisac is kind of also not. He's actually blackmailed at this point, that he might become the subject of a ballad. Which makes me wonder if there is a song like that.
It could easily have been, yes, the old man and the young wife. Anyway, I mean, it's the old men lusting after young women are a sort of standard theme.
Yeah, I do like how they remind us that this is in France, because such things do not happen in England, of course.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Sarah? I know you can't raise your hand right now as a sort of signifier because of the avatar, but yeah.
No, not really. I just really enjoyed that scene. I enjoyed playing Miramont. It was a bit of a hoot. And yes, if Lynn comes back, I will happily hand the role over to her again. But it was quite fun.
I think a modern audience would really enjoy this done, a little bit more explicitly in a sort of Me Too moment.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, you could have Andrew there filming, sort of going, yeah, this is proof, this is evidence. Because
Andrew's role is a bit icky in this, in fact. And that's the thing that we'd have to be quite delicate with, to make sure that he remains sympathetic.
Yeah.
Lois,
It's a tricky situation. I mean, I take it that he does and doesn't know Lilly really all that well. I mean, he doesn't honestly know whether she is or isn't willing partner for Brisac, and so he's watching this with a sense of, oh, she's honest. Oh no, she's a whore. Which is a bit weird. You can maybe assume that it's because they're just married, and he really doesn't quite know what he has married. It's a weird situation and part of a kind of ghastly social setup. Yeah, the other thing I was thinking was that it's almost as if this scene is happening simultaneously with the previous one, because the reason that Miramont isn't present to chaperone Angelina is that he's presumably off doing this and then he's coming back. But I don't know if we're meant to think that or not, but it does strike me that it would be logical if this were happening at the same time as the scene between Charles and the others, even though it can't altogether be because of what we hear at the end.
Yeah. Aliki.
I was just thinking also that sexual assaulters never change, because that, sleep with me, turn me down, you slut, is 100% still how it works.
Yeah. Well, also because he goes, sleep with me, oh, you slut. Oh, no, blackmail. Oh, no, I'll be nice, I promise. That's very, very sort of true psychologically, at least. Yeah. Yeah, I thought, even though I was playing reading Brisac in this, and just sort of enjoyed being entrapped, which is quite, because it's done so well. It's really, you don't know what's going on at the beginning. It's been built up over time, I presume, and then you like, this is a nice framing device. Yeah, very nice, nicely done. Mark.
Yeah, I think one thing I would consider if doing a production of this would be whether to move any of like Andrew's lines to Lilly to give her a little more agency in the maybe you give us this and that, or yeah, and we'll tell everybody.
Yeah.
Be worth considering, certainly.
Definitely. Any other thoughts on this or the previous scene, perhaps, or how they relate to each other? Okay. Sorry, Lois.
I'm just keen for us to get on. I'm anxious not to miss out on reading the last scene.
Yeah. So, without further ado, Act 5, Scene 1. Enter Eustace, Egremont, and Cowsy.
Turned out of doors and baffled.
We share with you in the affront.
Yet bear it not like you with such dejection.
My coach and horses made the ransom of our cowardice.
That's nothing. 'Tis damnum reparabile and soon recovered.
It is but feeding a suitor with false hopes, and after squeeze him with a dozen of oaths, you are new rigged, and this is no more remembered.
And does the court that should be the example and oracle of the kingdom read to us no other doctrine?
None that thrives so well as that within my knowledge.
Flattery rubs out, but since great men learn to admire themselves, 'tis something crestfallen.
To be of no religion argues a subtle moral understanding, and it is often cherished.
Piety, then, and valour, nor to do nor suffer wrong, are they no virtues?
Rather vices, Eustace. Fighting, what's fighting? It may be in fashion amongst Provence swords and buff-jerkin men, but we us that swim in choice of silks and tissues, though in defense of that word reputation, which is indeed a kind of glorious nothing, to lose a dram of blood must needs appear as coarse as to be honest.
And all this you seriously believe?
It is a faith that we will die in, since from the Black Guard to the grim Sir in office, there are few hold other tenets.
Now my eyes are open, and I behold a strong necessity that keeps me knave and coward.
You are the wiser.
Nor can I change my copy if I purpose to be of your society.
Honor is wait, no, by no means.
Honour is nothing with you.
A mere bubble, for what's grown common is no more regarded.
My sword forced from me too, and still detained, you think's no blemish.
Yeah, mere batoon. It's just 20 times more court-like and less trouble.
And yet you wear a sword.
Yes, and a good one, a Millen hilt and a Damasco blade. For ornament, no use the court allows it.
Will it not fight of itself?
I ne'er tried this, yet I have worn as fair as any man. I'm sure I've made my cutler rich and paid for several weapons, Turkish and Toledo's, 2,000 crowns, and yet could never light upon a fighting one.
I'll borrow this. I like it well.
'Tis at your service, sir. I give my sword to Eustace.
Give the sword to Eustace.
A lath and a velvet scabbard will serve my turn.
And now I have it. Leave me. You're infectious. The plague and leprosy of your baseness spreading on all that do come near you, such as you, render the throne and majesty, the court, suspected and contemptible. You are scarabs that batten in her dung, and have no palates to taste her curious viands, and like owls can only see her night deformities. With the glorious splendour of her beauties, you are struck blind as moles that undermine the sumptuous building that allowed you shelter. You stick like running ulsters on her face, and taint the pureness of her native candour. And being bad servants, cause your master's goodness to be disposed of, you make the court that is the abstract of all academies to teach and practice noble undertakings, where courage sits triumphant, crowned with laurel, and wisdom loaded with the weight of honour, a school of vices.
What sudden rush is this?
A heavenly one that, raising me from sloth and ignorance, in which your conversation long hath charmed me, carries me up into the air of action and knowledge of myself. Even now I feel, but pleading only in the court's defence, though far short of her merits and bright lustre, a happy alteration and full strength to stand her champion against all the world. Thou throw aspersions on her.
Sure, he'll beat us. I see it in his eyes.
Second Charles, pray look not, sir, so furiously.
Recant what ye have said, ye mongrels, and lick up the vomit you have cast upon the court, where you unworthingly have had warmth and breeding, and swear that you, like spiders, have made poison of that which was a saving antidote.
We will swear anything.
We honor the court as a most sacred place.
And we'll make oath, if you enjoin us to it, nor knave, nor fool, nor coward living in it.
Except you two, you rascals.
Yes, we are all these and more, if you will have it so.
And that until you are again reformed and grown new men, you ne'er presume to name the court, or press into the porter's lodge, but for penance, to be disciplined for your roguery, and this done with true contrition.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You again may eat scraps and be thankful.
Here's a cold breakfast after a sharp night's walking.
Keep your oaths, and without grumbling, vanish.
We are
gone, sir.
Exit Egremont and Cowsy.
May all the poorness of my spirit go with you. The fetters of my thraldom are filed off, and I at liberty to right myself. Though my hope in Angelina's little, my honour, unto which compared she's nothing, shall like the sun disperse those lowering clouds that yet obscure and dim it. Not the name of brother shall divert me, but from him that in the world's opinion ruined me, I will seek reparation and call him unto a stricter contempt. 'Tis near day, And if the Muse's friend or rosy-cheeked Aurora invite him to this solitary grove, as I much hope she will, he, seldom missing to pay his vows to her, here to her, I shall hazard to hinder his devotion. Door opens.
Enter Charles.
'Tis he most certain, by his side my sword. Best opportunity.
Ah, I have o'erslept myself and lost part of the morn, but I'll recover it. Before I went to bed, I wrote some notes within my table book, which I will now consider. What means this? What do I with a sword? Learned Mercury needs not the aid of Mars, and innocence is to itself a guard. Yet, since arms ever protect arts, I may justly wear and use it. For since 'twas made my prize, I know not how I'm grown in love with it, and cannot eat nor study, and much less walk without it. But I trifle. Matters of more weight ask my judgment.
Now, sir, treat of no other theme, I'll keep you to it, and see ye expound it well.
Eustace.
The same, sir. Your younger brother, who as duty binds him, hath all this night turned out of doors, attended, to bid good morrow to ye.
This, not in scorn, commands me to return it. Would you aught else?
Oh, much, sir. Here I end not, but begin. I must speak to you in another strain than yet I ever used, and if the language appear in the delivery rough and harsh, you, being my tutor, must condemn yourself, from whom I learned it.
When I understand, be it in what style you please, what's your demand, I shall endeavour in the self-same phrase to make an answer to the point.
I come not to lay claim to your birthright. 'Tis your own, and 'tis fit you enjoy it. Nor ask I from you your learning and deep knowledge, though I'm not a scholar as you are. I know them diamonds by your sole industry, patience, and labour, forced from steep rocks, and with much toil attended, and but too few that prize their value granted, and therefore without rival freely wear them.
These not repined at, as you seem to inform me, the motion must be of a strange condition if I refuse to yield to it. Therefore, Eustace, without this tempest in your looks, propound it, and fear not a denial.
I require, then, as from an enemy and not a brother, the reputation of a man of honour, not by a fair war won when I was waking, but in my sleep of folly ravished from me. With these, the restitution of my sword, with large acknowledgment of satisfaction. My coach, my horses, I will part with life, ere I lose one hair of them, and what concludes all, my mistress Angelina, as she was before the musical magic of thy tongue enchanted and seduced her. These performed, and with submission, and done publicly, at my father's and my uncle's intercession, that I put into, perhaps may listen to terms of reconcilement. But if these, in every circumstance, are not subscribed to the last gasp I defy thee.
These are strict conditions to a brother.
My rest is up, nor will I give less.
I'm no gamester, Eustace, yet I can guess your resolution stands to win or lose all. I rejoice to find ye thus tender of your honour, and that at length you understand what a wretched thing you were, how deeply wounded by yourself, and made almost incurable in your own hopes, the dead flesh of pale cowardice growing over your festered reputation, which no balm or gentle unguent e'er could make way to. And I am happy that I was the surgeon that did apply those burning corrosives that render you already sensible of the danger you were plunged in teaching you, and by a fair gradation, how far, and with what curious respect and care, the peace and credit of a man within, which you ne'er thought till now, should be preferred before a gaudy outside. Pray you, fix here, for so far I go with you.
This discourse is from the subject.
I'll come to it, brother. But if you think to build upon my ruins, you'll find a false foundation. Your high offers, taught by the masters of dependencies, that by compounding differences between others supply their own necessities, with me will never carry it. As you are my brother, I would dispense a little, but no more than honor can give way to, nor must I destroy that in myself I love in you. And therefore let not hopes nor threats persuade you I will descend to any composition for which I may be censured.
You shall fight, then.
With much unwillingness with you, but if there's no evasion...
None.
Hear but a word. As for the sword and other fripperies, in a fair way send for them, you shall have 'em. But rather than surrender Angelina, or hear it again mentioned, I oppose my breast unto loud thunder, cast behind me all ties of nature.
She detained, I'm deaf to all persuasion.
Guard thyself, then, Eustace. I use no other rhetoric.
Enter Miramont.
Sword so near my house? Brother opposed to brother? Here is no fencing at half sword. Hold, Charles, Eustace.
Draws his sword and parts them.
Second him, or call in more help. Come not between us. I'll not know nor spare you. D'ye fight by the hook? Book.
'Tis you that wrong me. Off, sir, and suddenly. I'll conjure down the spirit that I have raised in him.
Never, Charles. 'Tis thine, and in thy death be doubled in me.
Oh, I am out of breath. Yet trust not too much to it, boys, for if you pause not suddenly and hear reason, do kill your uncle, do. That I am patient and not a choleric old testy fool like your father, I'd dance a matachin with you, should make you sweat your best blood for it. I would. And it may be I will. Charles, I command thee. But Eustace, I entreat thee. Thou'rt a brave spark, a true tough metal blade. I begin to love thee heartily. Give me a fighting courtier, I'll cherish him for example. In our rage, thou not born every day.
You of late, sir, in me loved learning.
True. But take me with ye, Charles. 'Twas when young Eustace wore his heart in his breeches and fought his battles in compliments and cringes, when his understanding waved in a flaunting feather and his best contemplation looked no further than a new-fashioned doublet. I confess then the lofty noise your Greek made only pleased me. But now he's turned an Oliver and a Roland. Nay, a whole dozen of peers are bound up in him. Let me remember when I was of his years. I did look very like him. And did you see my picture as I was then? You would swear that gallant Eustace, I mean, now he dares fight, was the true substance and the perfect figure. Nay, no anger. You shall have enough, Charles.
Sure, sir, I shall not need addition from him.
Nor I from any. This shall decide my interest. I'm lost to all deserving men, to all that men call good, for suffering tamely insufferable wrongs, justly slighted, by yielding to a minute of delay in my revenge, and from that made a stranger unto my father's house and favour, overwhelmed with all disgraces. Yet I will mount upward, and force myself a fortune, though my birth and breeding do deny it.
Seek not, Eustace, by violence what will be offered to you on easier composition. Though I was not allied unto your weakness, you shall find me a brother to your bravery of spirit, and one that, not compelled to it by your sword, which I must never fear, will share it with you in all but Angelina.
Simply said, Charles. Learn from my experience. You may hear reason and never maim your fighting. For your credit, which you think you have lost, spare, Charles, and swinge me, and soundly. The 3 or 4 velvet walking cloaks that wear no swords to guard them yet deserve it. Thou art made up again.
All this is lip salve.
It shall be heart's ease, Eustace, ere I've done. As for thy father's anger, now thou darest fight, ne'er fear it. drive the dowsets of his gravity fast in a string. I will so pinch and wring him that, spite of his authority, thou shalt make thine own conditions with him.
I'll take leave a little to consider.
Here comes Andrew.
Enter Andrew with his head broken.
Without his comical and learned face, what sad disaster, Andrew?
You may read, sir, a tragedy in my face.
Art thou in earnest?
Yes, by my life, sir, and if now you help not, and speedily, by force or by persuasion, my good old master, for now I pity him, is ruined forever.
My father?
He, sir.
By what means? Speak.
At the suit of Monsieur Lewis, his house is seized upon, and he in person is under guard. I saw it with these eyes, sir, to be conveyed to Paris, and there sentenced.
Nay, then, there is no jesting.
Do I live and know my father injured?
And what's worse, sir, my lady Angelina.
What of her?
He's carried away too.
How?
While you were absent, a crew of Monsieur Lewis' friends and kinsmen by force break in at the back part of the house and took her away by violence. The faithful Andrew, as this can witness for him, did his best in her defense, but 'twould not do.
Away, and see our horses saddled. 'Tis no time to talk, but do.
Exit Andrew.
Eustace, you now are offered a spacious field and in a pious war to exercise your valour. Here's a cause, and such a one in which to fall is honourable. Your duty and reverence due to a father's name commanding it. But these unnatural jars arising between brothers, should you prosper, would shame your victory.
I would do much, sir, but still my reputation.
Charles shall give you all decent satisfaction. Nay, join hands and heartily. Why, this is done like brothers. And old as I am, in this cause that concerns the honour of our family, Monsieur Lewis, if reason cannot work, shall find and feel there's hot blood in this arm. I'll lead you bravely.
And if I follow not, a coward's name be branded on my forehead.
This spirit makes you a sharer in my fortunes.
And mine, of which, Brisac once freed and Angelina again in our possession, you shall know my heart speaks in my tongue.
I dare not doubt it, sir.
And they exit with that sort of whirlwind like thing. I don't know how to describe it otherwise. It just kind of like Andrew came in and told us that, the plot happened off stage, basically. Aliki.
Yeah, I mean, here again, we have an example of how well crafted this play is, because I was sitting here thinking, gods, that's a lot of speechifying all of a sudden. Here goes Eustace, hauling the other idiot courtiers over the coals and banishing them from him and declaring he'll be a better man. But gosh, it goes on for a while. And then, oh boy, here's Charles, and the two of them are just speechifying at each other, blah, blah. And of course, that's also that everything else can happen. And you have this kind of sonorous speechifying, these two young men whipping themselves up into a righteous frenzy, interrupted, and then that again, interrupted by Andrew. Bang, the plot, aha, the family unites, ta-da, fabulous.
Mark, any thoughts? Because you just sort of, I think you were going to say something, but then I don't know if you were waving or not.
I don't know if there's anything in particular, but just the plot, it is well crafted here. That it's like the brothers have come to a head. There's no they talk over and over about how clearly they're gonna have to fight in order to resolve this. But then something to unite them comes up, and so that'll, well crafted.
It's very, very, very smart, I think. Lynn, are you able to read? Can you hear us?
Yes, yes. So I can take back over if either of my characters shows up again.
Cool.
Yeah. So,
yeah. Any other thoughts
can you catch me up quickly on what happened with Lewis and Brisac? Brisac has married Lewis to his mistress, right? That's
What?
No.
Brisac married the servant Andrew to the woman that he desired. It turns out that she wasn't his cheerful
Okay.
mistress. He went to press his suit. I've got you this farm. I've got your husband. Give up the goods. And she said no. And Andrew was eavesdropping, and he and Miramont surprised him and said, aha, we've got you now. She doesn't want you. Nobody does. We're going to make fun of you. You're the justice of the peace and everything. We're going to publish it far and wide that you tried to rape her, you creep. And he says, oh, okay, well, I guess you've got me then. Promise you won't tell anybody. I'll do anything you say. He can have a bigger farm. I'll leave her alone.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah. But while they were doing that, they came back to find Eustace and Charles at it and sort of like about to start fighting again.
I think they are
When
fighting.
Miramont came back in. And
Yeah,
Miramont and
Yeah, because Eustace has had this amazing change of heart. And a lot of it revolves around this discussion of the court, that because Eustace and his friends are courtiers, the author has suddenly become very anxious that people shouldn't think he's slandering the court. And so there's all this idea that they're actually very bad courtiers, that the court has plenty of learning and valor and all sorts of great qualities, and they are a disgrace to it. And somehow or other, Eustace even recognizes this and tells them to go away and leave him alone, and he's going to be a changed man.
well, I guess also because the point is that in both in this and generally they assumed the courtiers were all about their reputation, and if his reputation is of that of a coward, he won't really make any progress, even if he doesn't love Angelina. I mean, I don't know. But on that note, we should move on. Act 5, Scene 2. Enter Lois, Brisac, Angelina, Sylvia, and officers.
I'm deaf to all persuasions.
I use none, nor doubt I, though while my innocence suffers. But when the king shall understand how false your malice hath informed him, the injustice must set me right again.
Sir, let not passion so far transport you as to think it reason. This violent course repairs, but ruins it. That honor you would build up, you destroy. What you would seem to nourish, if respect of my preferment or my reputation may challenge your paternal love and care, why do you, now good fortune has provided a better husband for me than your hopes could ever fancy, strive to rob me of him? In what is my Lord Charles defective, sir? Lest deep learning be a blemish in him, or well-proportioned limbs be mulcts in nature, or what you aimed at, large revenues, are on the sudden grown distasteful to you? Of what can you accuse him?
Of a rape done to honour, which thy ravenous lust made thee consent to,
Her lust? You are her father.
and you her bawd.
Were you 10 lords, 'tis false. The pureness of her chaste thoughts entertains not such spotted instruments.
As I have a soul, sir.
I'm not to be altered. To sit down with this disgrace would argue me a peasant, and not for noble all rigour that the law, and that increase of power by favour yields, shall be with all severity inflicted. You have the king's hand for it, no bail will serve, and therefore at your perils, officers, away with them!
This is madness.
Tell me so in open court, and there I'll answer you.
Enter Miramont, Charles, Eustace, and Andrew.
Sarah, you want to just keep doing Miramont so that I'm not two people in the same scene?
Yes, with pleasure. Yes. Right. Well overtaken.
Ill if they dare resist.
He that advances but one step forward dies. Show the king's writ.
Show your discretion, 'twill become you better.
You are once more in my power, and if again I part with you, let me forever lose thee.
Force will not do it, nor threats. Accept this service from your despaired of Eustace.
And beware, your reverend worship, never more attempt to search my lily pot. You see what follows.
Is the king's power condemned?
No, but the torrent o' your wilfully folly stopped. And for you, good sir, if you would but be sensible, what can you wish but the satisfaction of an obstinate will, that is not endeared to you. Rather than be crossed in what you purposed, you'll undo your daughter's fame, the credit of your judgment, and your old foolish neighbour. Make your states, and in a suit not worth a cardicue, a prey to advocates and their buckram scribes, and after they have plumed ye, return home like a couple of naked fowls without a feather.
This is a most strong truth, sir.
No, no, monsieur, let us be right Frenchmen, violent to charge, but when our follies are repelled by reason, 'tis fit that we retreat, and ne'er come on more. Observe, my learned Charles, he'll get their nephew on Angelina, shall dispute in her belly, and suck the nurse by logic. And here's Eustace. He was an ass, but now is grown an Amadis. Nor shall he want a wife, if all my land for a jointure can effect it. Y'are a good lord, and of a gentle nature. In your looks I see a kind consent, and it shows lovely. And do you hear, old fool? But I'll not chide. Hereafter, like me, ever dote on learning. The mere belief is excellent. 'Twill save you. And next love valour, though you dare not fight yourself or fright a foolish officer. Young Eustace can do it to a hair. And to conclude, let Andrew's farm be increased. That is your penance. You know for what. And see you rut no more. You understand me? So, embrace on all sides. I'll pay those billmen and make large amends, provided we preserve you still our friends.
And they exit. Enter the epilogue.
It is not the hands or smiles or common way of approbation to a well-liked play we only hope, but that you freely would, to the author's memory, so far unfold and show your loves and likings to his wit, not in your praise, but often seeing it, that being the grand assurance that can give the poet and the players means to live.
And thus ends the play. What just happened? I mean, like, he was about to be arrested, taken to the king. People were going to be arrested and jailed and all that stuff. And then suddenly, someone decided it was being too long. Maybe, I don't know. Or just Miramont decided, I will take over. Alan.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem to end without tying up a lot of the knots, which in some ways I like, because we do get a number of plays where there's so much faffing around tying up all the loose ends that you lose the will to live. You know, you can see what's happened. It's all turned out for the best in the best of all possible worlds, but it does feel a tad rushed.
Yeah. But I still like how he goes, yeah, you know, no, he's with her and she's with him. And then, you know, he's going to be fine. He'll find a wife. It's fine. You don't have to worry about any of them. And he basically just like spouts words at them until they resolve it, which is kind of funny. Mark.
Yeah, it's a little odd that Lewis doesn't like verbally relent at any point. But I think the stranger thing is that I didn't see any lines where Eustace moved from I want Angelina to I'm okay with this. Clearly she wants you and you'll be happy together. That I feel like is the biggest hole missing hole here. And you can try to do it in performance, but without any lines, it can feel a little tacked on to do that.
Well, I guess also because Charles sort of proved his valor to Eustace, they'd have to either decide to kill each other or not over Angelina. I'm not sure. I don't know.
It felt to me like they were like, okay, we'll temporarily set this aside. We're going to go save our dad. And then I was imagining like in saving their dad, then they'll have some sort of discussion and conversation. Yeah. Eustace being like, I was wrong. Clearly, Angelina and you are perfect together. Best wishes. There wasn't any of that.
Yeah. I think there may be something he said earlier that suggests that he's, you know, that he realizes that he probably hasn't much hope there. But yeah, he's been going on about his honor all the time, you know, and that's part of everybody's trouble is this thing about honor requires you to win, you know, in certain situations. But I think, yeah, I mean, Miramont, is kind of assuming a lot from people's reactions. I mean, at one point he says to Louis, "You're a good lord and of a gentle nature. In your looks, I see a kind consent, and it shows lovely." Okay.
Yeah.
So I think he's kind of assuming that everything is fine, and maybe we have to assume that too.
Well, I guess he has a lot of the money as well, so like Louis wouldn't have anything to like in that sense, he wouldn't have to be worried about his daughter not prospering
Yeah.
or anything.
No, they're all doing
Um,
fine, really. I mean, the thing is, Louis has got this writ from the king. I don't know how he got that so quickly, plus these officers who are supposed to arrest them, but and somehow or other that just sort of evaporates, I mean, he says, "Is the king's writ nothing?" and is the king's power contemned? And Miramont just says, "No, no, just don't, just don't do anything with it." So I guess he decides not to, even though he's got sort of a permission to arrest everybody.
I think Aliki was waving, then Alan, then Sarah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Miramont sort of just browbeats everybody into it by sheer force of personality. And the fact that he's right, it's the obvious solution to the problem.
Yeah.
Nobody, I don't know. That's how I see it. Does he really does Louis really want to go around saying that his daughter has been raped or seduced, or is of easy virtue for the standards of the time? Does what's the other guy's name? Brisac. Does Brisac really want his two sons to fight to the death? Nobody really wants any of these things. They're just being idiots. And he tells them, "You're being idiots."
Yeah.
Alan.
Yeah, I must admit, I'd take a rather more cynical viewpoint, which is that Miramont has got a belt with loads and loads of little bags of gold on it.
Maybe.
And money solves everything.
Probably. Sarah, then Mark.
Well, yes, I mean, we're told as much, that yes, he's going to make it all right, with money, as well as everything. He's going to pay the billman and make large amends. So I mean, we do know that he's got bags of money, and that's partly it. But I'm with Aliki here. I think it would be quite funny to stage this, so that as he's sort of clearing everything up, Miramont, there are various people in the background going, but wait, no, what, no, I'm still really cross. And he's just like, no,
Yeah, steamrolling over.
stop it. And they're like, oh, okay then. So we don't necessarily get this neat, tidy ending, but we do actually get a really satisfying ending because, as Aliki said, this is the right thing to do. And even if everybody hasn't quite come to, even if at the end, while Miramont's talking, Charles and Eustace are still like jostling each other a bit or pushing each other, and Brisac's like, muttering under his breath and casting looks at Andrew. It doesn't really matter because they're all going to have to play along. Miramont's got the money, Miramont's got the momentum, and he's like, right, we are having a happy ending. And that's that. This is a comedy. Shut your faces. Let's get on with a happy ending. And I think that could actually be a fantastic way to end the play that a modern audience would really enjoy.
Yeah. And he actually does go straight into almost like the epilogue, because his last line, "Provided we preserve you still our friends," I think is already addressing the audience. I mean, it's not just the people on the stage, but the people in the audience. And then, he may, in fact, be the one who's supposed to go on and speak the epilogue.
Yeah. Mark, then Lynn, I think was waiting.
No.
Oh, okay.
The other thing I'm struggling with this play by having reached the end is that Charles' scholarliness never really felt relevant. It was relevant early in terms of he needs to break away from focusing only on that in order to live a full life and fall in love with Angelina. Great. But so much of the early play was what's learning for? Learning does nothing. Brisac and such saying that. And it's but learning's great. And I felt like that didn't really come up again in the last couple acts, with the exception of Andrew being the way that we tricked you, that's a thing scholars are capable of doing. Don't mess with a scholar. But I expected more of that from Charles, whereas really it felt like the kind of moral of the story moved completely toward like be brave and valorous and be willing to fight people, which to me felt odd based
Well,
on.
I guess also it's kind of shifted in that, like, okay, Charles's journey is kind of, he's not going to stay scholarly, but he can sort of shift a bit more towards more mortal things. Whereas Eustace moves a bit more towards immortality. So you've got that shift, like, of them going in opposite directions almost.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like if there was some more balance of like seeing Charles, like the ways in which he, you know, his scholarship stuff is kind of helping him be this fully realized person at the end, in addition to the valor, and actually seeing that and not just having Miramont say like,
Yeah.
he is that. I don't know. I feel like that would have been a stronger ending.
Yeah. Lois, then Aliki, then Alan, I think. Yeah.
I mean, the Renaissance ideal, of course, is the courtier, scholar, soldier combined in one. I mean, that's what Sir Philip Sidney was always said to be. And in a way, I mean, Charles sort of is moving in that direction. I mean, he's been the scholar, and then he turns out to be able to fight, and kind of likes the look of the sword and waves it around. And, you know, it looks as if he's becoming the Renaissance man. And one thing you do see of his scholarship is just his ability to talk. I mean, his language, you know, his long speeches, there may be too much in there, but there is some really quite beautiful writing. And I think the author's trying to indicate that he talks somewhat differently from everybody else. He's also still practicing scholarship. I mean, there is that odd bit at the beginning of a scene. Oh, yes, I made some notes last night. I better look at them today. You know, presumably he'll be one of these people of whom there were quite a lot in that period, you know, aristocrats who also edited books, wrote plays, and so on. It's the kind of thing that probably Beaumont and Fletcher both thought they were on the edge of, at any rate, because they both came from, you know, well-off families.
Aliki?
Yeah, I very much with Lois. I will also add the slight gloss that we talked before about them being very, very young, effectively coming back from university after having been children or from being sent to acquire polish at court. And they've come back with this sort of young man's absolutism that they've got everything figured out. And the play teaches them that they can move towards the center.
Alan?
Yeah, I mean, very much the same thought. And I do wonder whether there's almost a heavy-handed moral to the story of, well, yeah, you've got to have the scholarly aspects and you've got to have the warlike martial aspects to become a rounded person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, George Gascoigne's motto was "Tam Marti quam Mercurio," as much in the service of Mars as Mercury. And Charles makes a reference to Mars and Mercury as well. I mean, that does seem to be the ideal. I mean, I agree with Mark that there's always in all these plays, there's too much emphasis in the end on somebody having to be willing to fight. I mean, I don't know, it gets quite annoying sometimes, this idea that you just have to be brave, or that being cowardly is terribly funny. I mean, I don't think it's ever shown to be a perfectly sensible reaction to some situation.
Well, to be fair, I can think of a few, like in what's called I think it's Famous Victories or something, where you've got like the cowardly cobblers who actually survived the war. In our logic, it would make sense because they survive. But yeah, I mean, I just like the whole sort of, I don't know. I just like how Miramont steamrollers over whatever everyone else is saying and just goes, yes, you are going to have that and sit there. You are going to sit there and be quiet and shut your face. It's just a very sort of, I don't know, like it reminds me of like an overbearing aunt or something, or very sort of, I don't know. It's just very endearing, but also just kind of, as Sarah said, it's a comedy. Be quiet.
Yeah.
And in a comedy, I guess you don't really look for logic as well, as we've said several times before. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I at this point, I think Rob would usually be thinking about what parts he would cut or not, and that kind of thing. But I think it would be very like salami slices. It would be very difficult to cut some parts, just because like Charles has to have those long speeches to get the point across that he is scholarly and all that stuff. And I guess Eustace changes a bit as well. I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, with some of the plays, we have to be quite clever, or we invite people staging them to be quite clever to make them appealing and palatable to a modern audience. And this is just not one of those plays. This really sings to us. So,
Sarah?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we had a anti-Semitic slur random thrown in yesterday, which we'd need to cut, but it was, literally one word. And I would be tempted to salami slice some of Charles's big speeches, not too much actually, because I think with the right actor you could actually make that really charming if you really lent into the beauty of it, and lent into the sort of just the fact that he's massively in love with this woman. And the speeches he had today, before they were going to bed, which could be really absurd, I think if you lent into the sensuality of that, but also the genuine love he has for her, I think they could actually be pretty spellbinding. So I wouldn't want to cut them too much. But like you say, I think you could salami slice those a little bit, cut the anti-Semitism, and actually, I don't think you need to do much else. It's really good. It's as Rob would say, it's oven ready almost.
Yeah. Well, I guess you might have to change, Angelina's age, just because she's listed as 14 at the beginning.
Yes, true. I'd forgotten about
which
that.
Which is a bit creepy.
Yeah,
but,
you need to make her a bit older.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's quite, more or less ready, as you said. And I do like how Andrew and Lilly get his sort of get their farm enlarged, because Miramont is on their side as well, and because it's the right thing to do. What else? And also because they get Brisac arrested for, well, okay, maybe not rape of Angelina, but they catch him in the act, which is of trying to impose himself on
Lilly.
Lilly, which is kind of, yeah, it's very well structured. I enjoyed this play. Alan?
Yeah, the interesting thing is that the female parts don't actually have a massive amount of words, but what they do have is very effective.
Yeah.
And you've got three fairly strong female characters in this, which is quite unusual for the period.
Yeah. Any other comments, thoughts, questions? Well, maybe not questions. Aliki? You were waving, maybe?
No, I was just thinking you might want to cut a little bit of the Eustace and Charles scene as well, and the salami slices. No, and I agree about these women. What Alan was just saying, they're all very eloquent, and they all take an active role in what's going on in the scene. Okay, Sylvia, is she Sylvia? Perhaps less so than the two women who have a bit more agency, but Sylvia. But what she says is really important. And Angelina's last speech there is a cracker.
Yeah. Sarah?
Yes, it's probably already obvious, but I just wanted to have it written down on the record that I absolutely loved this play. I really enjoyed it. I can see how I would want to direct it. And for our dear leader, when he's watching this video back, can we have a second look at this one very soon, please?
Pretty please. Yeah. Oh, lo and behold, you have summoned him.
Oh
This is
my
kind of
God.
terrifying.
That's a little creepy.
That is creepy.
Even when I've got a bad back, I've still got the magic powers, you see.
Yeah. But he's not available to speak on camera right now, I think, as far as I can tell. So without further ado, if no one has any objections, or I'll just do a Miramont and steamroller over all of you. Um,
Oh,
uh,
like, so is that like
oh,
final thoughts or
yeah.
I, I was only able to catch little snippets, so I don't have a lot to say. But this play feels to me like a lot of frenzy and activity, kind of for nothing, because you end up with the daughter of one family marrying the older brother who gets the inheritance. I mean, it's just kind of like the way it shakes out is so normative. Like everything that happens in between seems a little unnecessary. So I think the play really would have to charm you in order to work. My one production idea is that, for one thing, this feels really restoration to me, rather than
that's what everyone commented on the first day.
So I would set it in kind of mid to late 18th century, because the look of the clothing is much more frothy. So rather than looking like something from like the time of King James or Charles the First, like I want it to look like a Watteau or a Fragonard painting with those pastel colors. Yeah, I think that would be the right look for it. Just something much lighter and frothier.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would make sense, and just sort of like if I think the more absurd you make sort of the courtiers as well, you know, like in terms of clothing, and like Eustace and the other two, and his sort of minions, that would make the contrast a lot more clear as well. That's a lot more fun. Yeah. Any other final thoughts before we close the session? Mark.
Yeah, I think my final thought is I was quite on board with the play for the first half, and I'm still working through how I feel about where it went the second half. There's some good stuff in there for sure. But yeah, where I do feel like it gets a little too focused on the fighting and gets completely away from like the whole scholarship. And yeah, that the ending feels a little short. But I do think there's some good stuff here, and it could be a good one to stage.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if if you hit it like at full speed, you wouldn't have time to think about the fighting or the scholarship. It would just be like hitting you over the head with something.
Right. So yeah, second read could be good.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering about that. Yeah. Well, I enjoyed it. Like first day and second, and third for me, I guess. And so I will thank the wonderful readers for their wonderful reading.
Bye.
And, goodbye. Your reverend worship may never more attempt to search my lily pot.